When you teach philosophy, it impacts because you use the same techniques across all areas. So when you're teaching maths, sometimes I've done things like, what is a number? And we've done it as a philosophical discussion. What is a number? What does it mean to be a number? Why do we have numbers? So it's those sort of whats and whys and when questions that come in. I think it becomes just a very natural part of being at school, that at this school we value thinking, and I think that's one of the things that interests me, that the idea that we value children's thinking and that thinking is very important.
Yes. Now I've got some little stories here, and they're about things that have happened to people.
Which then in your story,
I try not to lead it too much, that's not my role. So I sit on the floor with them and I'm part of it, and they understand that I've got some control.
Well, I want to say that I agree with you, but I also think that maybe a little bit of the human race don't know that human rights exist because they haven't had education or something like that.
The idea is as they progress on, they become more and more able to run it themselves. And when you get to a 4, 5, 6, the goal would be that you'd step out and they would run it without you.
They're more important.
It's not just public schools that are involved in the teaching of ethics and philosophy. The Prince of Peace Lutheran College in Brisbane is a devoutly religious school that's been teaching philosophy for 2 years.
The Bible tells us that God often speaks in the silence. Lord, help us to be mindful of you.
Our college grew from our church congregation, so initially we were a primary school that started by a group of our church families who wanted to have a Lutheran school for their children to go to.
We lift our voice to you and sing a song of praise.
In our college, our focus is worship, and we meet 2 to 3 times a week, once as a whole community to worship. When we first introduced philosophy, it was something that was different, so we needed to educate and train both our staff and our parent community so they could understand what it was about, and to try and take away the fear that this is something not God-related.
We light the candle because in religion, candle indicates the presence of God. But in philosophy, it might indicate the presence of wisdom. But also, there's the whole idea of enlightenment, of understanding and wisdom. So,
in this lesson, the students are encouraged to think about what it means to be human, physically, intellectually, emotionally and spiritually.
in order to experience life to the full, you have to take your whole self beyond the village.
As a Christian school, we felt that the teaching of philosophy would fit beautifully with our Christian studies syllabus as well, because it gives another outlet, another different teaching tool that students can explore what they believe along their faith journey through the tool of philosophy.
Think about what's the moral, or what things appealed to you in the story, what's odd about the story, what's the story trying to tell us. Every author has some kind of meaning for his story.
The eyes and ears and the nose and mouth could not do it alone because they needed the brain. They needed everything to help and work together, because otherwise they would not be able to remember.
Memory is powerful. Some kid said to me in a class the other day, what do you need to be a human being? What is it to be a full human being? And they said, memory. And I said, yes. And it was the first time any kid had ever said that. Maybe you've got something else to contribute.
It's not worth doing if you're not there. Like, you have to have your whole self to be there to enjoy the whole feeling.
Yeah, except you have to go yourself. That's the first principle, first life principle. You have to go yourself. Secondly...
Sometimes the Bible is the catapult for the philosophy lessons. Sometimes the Bible is used as the summary of the philosophy lessons. I know that for myself, having been trained in philosophy and also having staff trained in philosophy, and just the way it just connects and clicks perfectly with our faith, values and ethics.
Now, to each one of you, different gifts of the Spirit have been given for the common good of the community. To one that's given...
We need to own our own faith as a person, as an individual, so that we can truly make it our own. And that's how philosophy helps our students to think about what they believe in and to really own a faith that's personally theirs.
We then had a group that we said were our big inquiry questions, the deep questions. And to remind
Whatever the point of view, religious or secular, there's clear agreement on the need to provide school-age students with opportunities to hear, consider and discuss the big questions in life to help them navigate the road ahead.
Children are learning to negotiate moral values in all the areas of their lives. They learn this, of course, first and foremost from the home. They learn it in the school. They learn it from one another. In the kind of work that I'm doing with kids, they learn it in their peer group. And in those schools that we know where this kind of work has been carried out across the whole, say, of the primary school, it makes a tremendous difference to how kids behave. For example, bullying has just about disappeared.
you're talking about Jesus. Jesus,
Well, it is the responsibility of all families to teach their children about God. We can't do that for them, but we can add an extra dimension to that. And often children have questions that maybe their parents can't answer, and they'll come to scripture class and we'll answer them for them.
Philosophy for Children gives you the skills for the 21st century because, first of all, you work in a group, you're collaborative, you listen to people, you learn to critically think about what they're saying, so there's those sorts of skills. It's about thinking and analysing and not taking things at face value.
Enjoying it? Good.
I am extremely passionate about it, and I have seen so many magnificent thoughts and so much interesting depth of thought come out of a philosophical conversation.
Isabella, what would you like to add? That some people believe that they have better rights than others, which I'm not sure is entirely true.
These are life skills or life tools. That's absolutely what they are. And a wonderful remark made by a parent about the kids at one of these schools is, you can always tell the kids from that school, they negotiate, they don't argue, they don't resort to fisticuffs, they negotiate with each other.
How would people rate today's session? Thumbs up if you're pleased with yourself?
I think it was a really good contribution by everyone. Well done, and I call our Circle of Inquiry close for today.